Hey, welcome to Still a Hero, powered by USAA. My name is Randy Miller, and every week we get to bring you great stories of people who served in the military and continue to serve in their community. And we got a great one for you today. This is just an overall, it's going to make you smile, okay? Kevin Bubolz is with us, and he is the creator of everything golden. I mean, everything that's involved with Goldens. This guy has done it all, and especially with EllieGoldenLife. We'll tell you all about that. Kevin, how you doing?
Doing great, Randy. Thanks for having me.
Hey, first of all, I love to start with this question. Why did you get into the military?
You know, it's an interesting one. I've always wanted to serve in the military. We don't have a very deep family lineage on the military side of things, but I have pictures from when I was like, I don't know, second grade wearing Army camouflage. There was something where I always wanted to be in the military. I think for me, like a lot of people, 9/11 was a really big driving factor. I still remember, coming back from gym class in sixth grade, and they wheel in the TV and they flip it on. And at the time, I didn't even know what the World Trade Centers were. I'm like, I don't know what those buildings are, but I think that kind of really like made it set in stone for me that the military was the right option. And then ended up being the Army side of things. But I guess it wasn't like this moment. It was kind of, I always wanted to, and then 9/11 really hit it home for me.
Yeah, and that was such a catalyst for so many people to join the military. How was your service? Tell us a little bit about your service.
It was incredible, right? Like everyone has different experiences in the military. I was fortunate. I did ROTC, had the experience to go to Marquette University, which was phenomenal, and then went Army Aviation. So got to become a Chinook helicopter pilot, which is such a magnificent aircraft. I mean, it can do some pretty incredible things. And then the service was great. Alaska, overseas, ended up becoming an instructor pilot and having that side of things. So it was around 8 years that I served for, and it was one of those things where the memories and the experiences I don't think I could have gotten anywhere else.
Yeah, and a Chinook. I mean, you talk about a special piece of equipment and a special job operating it. I mean, in your mind, in your just world of dreams, did you ever think you'd be flying a Chinook?
Not a chance. I mean, it's such a big. I mean, it's almost 100 feet from rotor tip to rotor tip. Like, it's not a tiny machine at all. And never thought I would be flying, but what a cool experience.
All right, so you fly a Chinook, you get out of the service. How was the transition for you?
The transition, I would say it ended up being relatively smooth, but I think for me, there's a lot of things I didn't know and paths that I thought I was going to go, and things took different turns. For example, I did all the transition things. I did hiring your heroes, our heroes, where I did like an internship at a startup. I did American Corporate Partners and had a mentor. I applied to business school and decided to go that route. But it's easy when you wake up in the morning in the military, at least for me, and it's like I have a sense of purpose. And when you get out of the military, a lot of times it's hard to still find that sense of purpose. I think I was really fortunate in the fact that we started this thing called our Mission to Spread Smiles before we left the military with our golden retriever, Ellie. And that was kind of that thread we were able to carry through. So we were volunteering while I was on active duty. And then when I left, that was still something I could find purpose in. And I think that helped a lot in terms of the transition. And then during the business school, I was able to fortunately start a business and kind of learn and experiment on a daily basis. And that helped a lot in the transition too, is just I had two things to focus on. And we had a great cohort. My class and my program was around 25% veterans. So that was a huge aspect when leaving, where I didn't leave my full community behind. You kind of came and had a similar mindset of people in the MBA program.
And it's such a cool story, Kevin, about how something that happened in the military kind of transformed what you're going to do for the rest of your career, right? And it started, I think, with a chaplain.
Yes, Andrea Baker. She was a chaplain we had on a deployment in Afghanistan. and she was incredible. She did all this to bring over a therapy dog, which is it happens very, very rarely that a chaplain will have a therapy dog, but she did all the hoops to get approval to bring this dog into country. And it was this little black lab named Zach. And it was my first experience. I didn't know what therapy dogs were before seeing Zach. I never even really thought about it. And seeing this dog whose sole purpose was to make other people smile, to bring joy, to bring people together, connect people. It was like, once we get home, we need to do this. So I called my wife, and her name's Katie, and I was like, I don't know if you've heard of therapy dogs, but we should look into this at home when we get back. And one of the things I always love to talk about is the difference between a therapy dog and a service dog, because it is confusing, and I was confused on that at first. But I think the easiest way to explain that a therapy dog is for others. So it's often someone's personal dog that they train. They have to go through certain levels of certifications, and it's out in the community. Could be in hospitals, military bases, libraries, schools, assisted living. It's out there helping others, whereas a service dog is task trained for the handler. So it's for the handler itself. And those are the dogs that have ADA rights. So they can go on planes, they can go on anything, they have access rights. Therapy dogs have to be invited. But yeah, so there's this dog with Zach and Andrea that I saw that and was like, I don't know how we're going to do it, but we need to figure it out. And that led us to getting Ellie and training her to be a therapy dog.
You're golden, right?
Yes,
and
we have two Goldens now. But
how did you settle on Goldens?
I grew up with Black Labs. My wife grew up with Golden Retrievers. And so we went with Golden Retrievers. I love it. I love it. Black Labs are amazing. I love Black Labs. They have a special place in my heart. But she had a lot of say in that one, and it worked out great.
Well, when you told Katie this crazy idea, did she immediately go, "Oh, Kevin, that's the greatest idea you've ever had"?
Not quite. I mean, we always have talked about getting a dog. We'd never had one. I think it was more of like, can we train a dog to be a therapy dog? We've never trained a dog before. I don't know the first thing about it. That was, I guess, the thought process.
And I understand there was a moment that you woke up like at 5 a.m. and had this epiphany. Tell us about that.
So we were doing therapy work with Ellie before I left for grad school, and during that time frame, it ended up being 2020. So we weren't able to go volunteer in hospitals anymore, and so we were doing volunteering virtually. So not all that different than this here, where we would have us with Ellie and usually undergraduate students or different people and just having conversations. Definitely not the same thing as being in person and being able to touch a dog.
Right.
But one of the questions I had asked these undergrad students was, how are you spending your time? Now that things have changed, where are you spending time? What are you doing? And they had mentioned social media. And at the time I had created some not so great LinkedIn videos on my transition advice. It was a very great learning experience, but looking back, I'm like, I definitely have improved since then. But I hadn't had a lot of experience with social media, but she had mentioned that's where they're spending their time. And I was like, well, if that's where you're spending your time, maybe we meet you there. Like, let's figure out social media and create content. And one of the very first videos we did is this thing called the flip the switch challenge, where basically usually it's like two people in front of a mirror and the lights go off and the lights go back on and they swap clothes, they swap what they're doing, and it looks like it just like happened instantaneous. And I was like, what if I did this with Ellie? But this is at 5:30 in the morning. We hadn't really created any content whatsoever. And I'm like, I have to do it now. I'm the person that a good idea. I'm like, I want to do it now.
Yeah.
And so I woke her up. I was like, hey, I need you in the bathroom. She's like, what are you talking about? Like, you need to hold this chair so Ellie can be sitting in it and I can be behind her. And then I'm going to turn the light off. And then I'm not going to have my shirt on and she's going to have my shirt on. And she's like, what are you talking about? We filmed it, we created it, we posted it. And I put my phone away and didn't look at, I don't know, maybe getting like 2 views at the time. So I didn't look at my phone,
Right.
And the next morning I pulled it up and I had all these messages. And one of them was from the Ellen show. They're like, hey, we would love to air this on here. And I'm like, wait a second. I just went from a video at 5:30 in the morning in my bathroom to it's going to be on the Ellen show. There's something here. And
Wow.
so that kind of was that spark where it's like, all right, let's take a different mindset here. Let's be more intentional about this. How do we reach more people? How do we make more people smile? And it's been such a fun journey.
Well, and not just a fun journey, but I mean, everybody is a part of this thing now. 17 million followers. Your wife, Katie, was on with Jimmy Fallon. How did that come about?
Well, so how it came about actually, so one of the mindsets we took when we started creating content was this build, measure, learn. So I was doing my MBA in marketing, and we had a lot of experiential learning. And instead of just posting something and whatever, I would be pretty intentional where I would post a piece of content. I'd then analyze it and try to figure out like, why did it do well, didn't do well, and then make iterations on that. And so leading to the Jimmy Fallon side of things, there was one video, I would go back and reflect on some of my content. And there was one video I had with Ellie where I held up a treat and I'd asked her to taste it. So as a therapy dog, impulse control is really important. If you're in, say, a hospital and there's a pill on the ground or something they shouldn't have, they shouldn't go and get it. And so she had learned that she could just like stick out her tongue and lick a treat instead of taking it. And I had noticed on this video that there was a lot of signal around that. People were commenting about it. People are very interested in the taste aspect. So I was like, all right, if people want taste, we'll try something. As I took two different types of treats, maybe like an apple and a carrot. And I'd be like, all right, taste, and then pick her favorite. And that did well. And then I was like, well, what if we did a tournament like March Madness? So we did like this big tournament. I think we did 32 foods maybe to start or something like that. And to find out what the winner was going to be, and people would vote. Well, in that process, the Tonight Show people had seen it, and they're like, hey, Jimmy wants to do a taste test on the show. And so we said yes. Now, the interesting story here is it was supposed to be me on the show. I'm the one that's always pretty much always in front of the camera. Yeah. Katie is amazing behind the scenes. She does all the filmography, and she's phenomenal, but she does not love to be in front of the camera. And we were in New York City, and we walk in, and this was late 2021, 2022 timeframe. And the Late Show host had just tested positive for COVID. So they were very particular about not spreading COVID at that moment. And I came in and I had COVID 6 weeks before that. And so they tested me, and they're like, there's a PCR test. And they're like, you still have COVID. They basically locked me in this room, like, you can't go anywhere. Here's the red phone. You can call if you are need help. And they're like, Katie, the only way the show goes on is if you go. And she's like, what? She's like, my dress, the only one I have is in the laundry from last night. I'm not ready to be on this show. But lo and behold, she crushed it. She did. Went out there.
I saw that. She did a great job.
Yeah, live audience, live, TV, and with a dog and food, and not the one that normally does it. I was so proud of her. But yeah, she did great. That was one of those moments where it's like, wow, it's all from going the thread back through is like showing a trick online and then be like, wait, there's something here. But that was a really fun experience.
So, and Ellie did so well. It was just such a great.
She was excited to taste and eat.
And I saw that where you're doing the tasting, and my wife and I have always had dogs, and we're just looking at this going, how can that be? A dog just tasting something and not eating it, and it was so. And so I understand the impact of something like that. And then you guys developed a training app, which. This is another brilliant part of your story here, Kevin, because there are groups that mobile training. I mean, so many groups that train dogs, but you guys started an app to where people can train their dogs themselves, right?
Yeah, our whole goal is the ultimate goal we want to do is we've seen the impact that therapy dogs can have, and there's a significant need in the world, and so if there's more therapy dogs out there. That's phenomenal. That's our goal, right? We want more therapy dogs. And one of the ways that we decided to do this, and it's more of a passive thing now, we've created it and we don't spend a ton of time there, but we wanted to get people started. A lot of people, it's just you need that little bit of push to get going in your training journey. So we have this free puppy course where you can go in and just get you on the right direction. Now it doesn't replace in-person training because there is a lot of value being around other dogs and different people. But it's a way to get people maybe that don't have access to that or just want to get a taste of it. Yeah, so we created this resource. We have quite a few people that come through it, and we get messages all the time about people training their dog to be a therapy dog, which is the best part about
Oh
all this.
yeah,
But yeah,
absolutely.
so and that's the thing too, is we're not dog trainers, right? So a lot of times I think what we do is like, and it's similar to when I was an instructor pilot. Like you take something really complex, flying a helicopter, and you have to teach it to a student that has never flown a Chinook before, and you kind of have to break complex down into simple. And that's a similar approach we take with therapy dog work, where and training your dog is where I'm not a dog trainer, but I have trained a couple of therapy dogs. I understand the process, and for me, these are the things that worked. And it's one way to do it, and we just try to document that in a little bit unique way. A lot of people have short attention spans, and so most of our lessons are less than a minute. It's just this like quick. Here are these 5 steps. Now go out and try it, instead of just watching an hour video and then you're like, wait, how do I teach that skill? So it's like that little spark that we're trying to create with it.
And I've been, like I said, we've had dogs all our lives. How do you train the people?
That's the hardest part.
Yeah.
Especially when you have households with multiple people, kids add a whole nother
Right. Oh,
dynamic,
yeah.
right? Because consistency is pretty much the most important thing
Yeah.
in dog training. If I, don't let my dog eat off the table, but my wife does, mixed signals, dog's going to eat off the table, right? And so like that is more challenging in terms of training people. And that's really what you're doing in a lot of things, is you're teaching the people, not the dogs.
Yeah, and you talk about these therapy dogs. So many great examples that you talk about in with people. I want to get into some of those if we can.
Yeah, of course.
The woman whose husband was on a flight. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so January 2025, there was a aviation incident here just outside our home, only a few miles from where we live in the DC area, where a plane collided with an Army helicopter, and all were killed. I believe it was 67 people. And I was traveling. I was actually in Las Vegas and heard about it, called Katie, who was back here. We had a newborn at the time. We have our 2 dogs, and I was like, I don't know how we help here, but I think we need to do something. And she's like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to do. And so she got in the car. She took Ellie at first, and just drove. She's like, I don't know where I'm going, but I'm gonna go find people that need help. And she struck out a few times, and eventually she ended up in the room where all the families of the victims were finding out the news. They were finding out, confirmation, your family members are not alive. Like everyone was killed. And she was there. And so she swapped between Ellie and Emma. The first person Katie encountered was with Ellie. And she walked in, and one of the staff members was like, hey, we have an individual who's having a panic attack, that paramedics are on the way. Can you go and help? And Ellie sat right next to this woman. She started petting her, her breathing started slowing down. And a few minutes later, when the paramedics arrived, the lady was like, I don't need you anymore. I'm fine. I'm calmed down. And then later that day, she was visiting with a lot of people. Later that day, she went back with Emma. And we try to rotate them. You don't want to do too long at a time with a therapy dog, because it's also tasking on them. And there was this woman who was petting Emma, and very tough. Her husband loved dogs. Volunteered in a shelter at least once a week.
Oh wow!
Very, very passionate about dogs. And she had looked at one point in the conversation, looked at Emma, and she was like, I think that my husband sent you here today, and it was his way of telling me that he's okay, and that I should be okay too. And we handed her. We had these little like trading cards, like kind of like baseball cards that we have, and we give those out when we volunteer. And we gave her one, and it was weeks later we got a message from her, and she was thanking us for that moment. But she was like, I still hold on to that card, and it was it's like a wrinkled card now, and she has it. And I think it's hard sometimes to quantify the impact a therapy dog can have, but they can break through, and even if it's for a moment, they can build this connection. They can make you forget all of your struggles. They can give you comfort and joy. And it's moments like that, like they happen more often than you think, and there's a lot that we don't even know about. It's after the fact, but there's something really incredible about therapy dogs, and we've been fortunate to have a lot of positive interactions like that.
Oh man, that's such a great story, and and I know you're spreading smiles, but you're also spreading comfort to a lot of people, and just dogs in general. And I just full disclosure, about 20 years ago, we had a pit bull mix, an 8-week-old pit bull mix, find us, and so his name's Satchmo, and we raised Satchmo until he lived to a ripe old age of 17. And
Wow.
we had we rescued another pit bull mix who, Wags, who just passed away, had developed cancer and passed away about 6 months ago, and he only lived till 8. And so this is the first time in our married life that we have not had a dog in our house. And I got to tell you, we're kind of lost. I mean, they just provide so much comfort. We've been fostering now, and that's a whole other world. Foster dogs is just kind of like a temporary roommate, right?
Yeah.
Until you find the right foster. And I don't understand the term foster fail, by the way. If you adopt a foster, that's a foster success,
that's
right?
A win. Yeah.
That's a win. So I understand also you taught Ellie how to fetch a beer, right?
She can do a lot of fun tricks. Yeah, that and the remote can come in handy. You don't know where the remote is, and you ask her to grab it. That definitely comes in handy. But yeah, she'll do anything for tricks or for treats. She loves treats. So very smart girl.
Well, I got to tell you, man, what a great, a lot of people wake up in the morning, work their 9 to 5, go to the plant, they do some other things, they're done. You wake up and start spreading smiles. What a gift that is, huh?
It is, and we're truly grateful. I mean, this was never the thought that we had, when we started doing the volunteer side, and still to this day, we try to at least once a week do something philanthropic focused, just because we are so blessed to have Ellie and Emma and the opportunities we have, and it was definitely moving into this was a pretty. It was scary, right? So we talked about the transition, and I was working. I wanted to make the decision first, but I was working for one of the best companies in the world and a dream job. And both my wife and I left those roles to bet on ourselves. And at the time, looking back, I'm like, I can't believe we did that. Yeah. And it's one of those things where now what we love the most is we can have those in-person interactions like we normally do. A lot of it we don't film, but when we do, you can then show that to people. You can scale it and reach people around the world. And that's some of the surreal moments, like walking in Ljubljana, Slovenia, and people are coming up to you and telling you your whole story. And it's like,
wow,
I didn't even know the city existed until like a month ago. And, I don't know. It's really crazy. But, so there's those surreal moments, but I think like there's these moments where you get the messages and pictures of these dogs that are new therapy dogs, and they're out in their community doing great work. And it's like the ripple effects of what we're able to highlight. We're just like one person doing what a lot of people do. And we're so grateful that we can highlight that and share those experiences online so that other people do it as well. But yeah, it's been such a really fun journey.
Yeah, and you guys travel the world, and I tell people all the time, people sometimes use their dog as an excuse not to travel, right? And I'm like, hey, take your dog. We love to go camping, and that was a big part of our life. And it's weird now because we would go on dog walks a couple of times a day, and now my wife and I are just walking without a dog, and we're like, should we even go? Should we even walk? I mean, it's just
right.
like that's just a part of your routine. That's a part of your life, right?
Yeah, it sounds like you need a dog. I think that's on the agenda. But
well, now I want a golden. Now we were watching you on Instagram last night. And I'm telling my wife, why not a golden? They're great.
They are great. A lot of great dogs out there. I'm biased now, but goldens are pretty amazing. But yeah, it's funny you talk about the traveling. We we do a lot of road trips, and before we had kids, we went and we bought a minivan, and the dealer's like, "Oh, how many kids do you have?" And we're like, "None." He's like, "You're buying a minivan?" And we're like, "Yeah, we got 2 dogs." He's like, "Okay."
Right.
But yeah, so we got a minivan so we could road trip with our dogs. It's we've been fortunate. We've been able to visit a lot of military bases abroad too, and
That's cool.
Poland and Germany, and yeah, it's traveling with your dogs. It definitely adds a layer of complexity, but it's totally worth it. In our opinion, there's a lot of fun, and especially when you get to meet people in different areas of the world and to visit different hospitals, or the children's hospital is one of the things locally that we go to, but it's always fun when you end up at one in a different location and people that don't expect to see you. It's like this really shock and awe. Like if I run into somebody here, it's like, you live here, like that makes sense.
Right.
But you run into somebody in a new location, it has a little bit of a special aspect to it.
Oh, that's such a great connection. That's so cool. What is the best way for people to follow you and follow everything that you guys are doing?
We're our account's EllieGoldenLife on all social media, so anywhere there, you'd be able to keep up.
Oh, I mean, 17 million people keep up every day. So, I mean, that's
yes, which we're grateful for.
That's stunning. It's just stunning.
It is.
But thank you so much for, number one, your service. Thank you for everything that you're doing and bringing smiles to so many people, bringing relief, bringing comfort. Kevin Bubolz, you are still a hero.
Thank you, Randy. I appreciate you having us on today.
Thank you so much.